powerful, very.
Yes, yes. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this special session of Mindful Living. Today, we have all gathered to celebrate, to commemorate the birthday of Swami Vivekananda. And I would urge you to keep your cameras on so that we are visible, we are present, and we can celebrate his birthday. It is on 12th of January 1861 that he was 1863 that he was born. It's about 161 years. Uh, and he is one of the foremost spiritual leaders in India. At the age of 30, he traveled to USA and addressed the Parliament of Religion. And the first 5 words he spoke that had such immense power that everybody stood up and were clapping for 2 minutes. It's very difficult to define a personality like Swami Vivekananda, and I'm not going to attempt to do that. But what we will do today is discuss some of his teachings. And we have Mr. Sandeep Nigam, who has joined us to share his insights with us on the Vedantic teachings and Swamiji's teachings. Sandeep ji is a mindfulness coach, yoga teacher, and a corporate professional with over 30 years of experience working in companies like Adobe and Tata Steel. He is graduate of prestigious IIT Kanpur and IIT Bombay. He lives in Noida and has a community to whom he selflessly teaches yoga and Vedanta. This community of 5,000 people is spread across the globe, and he regularly interacts with them and shares his wisdom very selflessly. He's one of the few speakers who we have invited on Mindful Living platform for 4 times. This is his 4th session on Mindful Living platform today. And I've also had the privilege of meeting him in person and benefit from his presence. And today we really feel blessed to have him with us. Thank you, Sandeep ji, for taking out time and joining us today. For those of you, thank you, Sandeep ji. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'll like to take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Ashish Kumar, and I am the founder of Mindful Living. We started Mindful Living community in April 2020 when the first lockdown took place, and few of my friends reached out to me with a request to conduct a mindfulness session for them to help them deal with the stress and anxiety that they were facing. So over a weekend, I conducted a mindfulness session. One thing led to the other. And today, we are a vibrant community of over 3,000 people who connects regularly to practice mindfulness, to apply mindfulness in our daily lives. If you would like to join our WhatsApp group and receive update about the activities that we do, you can click on the link that we have shared in the chat and join the community. It is a no-nonsense community where there are no good morning, good night messages, no religious or political posts. It's a very safe place for you to learn, practice, and share about living consciously. On that note, I'll now request Sandeep ji to take the session forward. We'll be opening up the session for question and answers towards the end in about, say, around 11:50 or so. But if you have any questions or comments, please keep putting them in the chat. Chat is open and I'll be monitoring the chat. So we will take all your questions and comments there. And if there is something which resonates with you, please use the reactions button to show love or appreciation for what Sandeep ji is saying. And once again, requesting all of you to keep your cameras on and be present for this session. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you, Sandeep ji, for agreeing to do this session. Over to you now.
Thank you very much, Ashish, and to your wonderful a community that has been growing by leaps and bounds, and made this movement grow. We are also stressed out. We have actually forgotten what we are. So this is something which brings us back to the roots, literally.
Absolutely.
I just shared one quote on my groups. I just want to share it here as well. So pain is one of the indicators, realization that we have gone too far into the adventures of the world, and then it's time to come back to the source. And that's what Swami Vivekananda, you know, showed us all his life, the source that we are, the beacon of light, the light of consciousness that we are. So, of course, as you also pointed out, Shishji, that Swami Vivekananda was such a tall personality, and see, he was so many things rolled into one. You see, you have spiritual leaders, you have teachers, and you have philosophers, and you have entrepreneurs, right? So he was all of that rolled into one. A very tall figure, a great orator, very erudite, a great speaker, great orator, and very well learned. And he was interested in science, he was interested in philosophy, he was interested in literature, so he could hobnob with the topmost scientists of those times. Nikola Tesla was the foremost scientist who used to actually come and attend his lectures in the Parliament of Religions, and then he went back to the Vedanta Society, which was Swami Vivekananda set up in Manhattan in those days, and he was a regular visitor to his abode, and they discussed Sankhya philosophy, see, cosmogony of Kapilas, Maharishi Kapilas. Those of you would have heard of him, Sankhya cosmogony. So that was Swami Vivekananda, everything, and a great patriot as well. So, of course, 45 minutes is hardly a time to do any justice with uh, with all that Swami Vivekananda stood for. But today, the theme which I thought uh, was, again, as I said, he was a very eloquent, gifted speaker, and the best part of that was that he taught us practical Vedanta. That it is not just something which is mystical and for those haloed pundits sitting in the ivory tower, but it's for the man on the street who should benefit. And he gave a very nice, eloquent definition for spirituality. The first thing which people ask me is, why all this path? What good would it do to us? In fact, this has got the most practical of all the most practical bearing, and this is there in Swami Vivekananda's own definition. He says that the sign that you are becoming spiritual or evolving spiritually is that you start getting cheerful. What a practical yardstick to measure it, and there can be a more practical application of or following the path of spirituality. And then he says, we all remember how he came together with Paramahansa Ramakrishna. He was literally asking around people, "Sir, have you seen God?" And people thought most of the spiritual teachers of those times, it must be crazy. I mean, how can you see God? But no, for him, religion was realization. You see, he used to say, if God is there, I should be able to feel oneness with God. I should be able to experience the power of God. So this is what Swami Vivekananda stood for. And so what we will do today is to talk about the four paths, the four yogas. Again, we have all heard about Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga, and Raj Yoga. And often times what happens is that people talk about the superiority of one path over the other. But Paramahansa Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda, they were what we call the great synthesizers. So they synthesize all these four yogas which is that they're all the paths to the same one. As Rigved declares, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. There's one reality, and the wise men, this spiritually evolved, experience it and express it in different ways and forms. And the reason is very simple. The reason is this, that one is infinite. And you can't say this is equal to infinity yet. You can only point to infinity. If you would recall studying mathematics, we had this no limit tending towards infinity. You can only point towards infinity. You can't say this is equal to infinity. So, whatever ways and forms one could relate to this infinity, he or she expressed it, and therefore you have different paths. In fact, Paramahansa Ramakrishna used to say, "Let there be as many paths as many people we have on this earth. Let there be so many paths. Let them everyone choose their own path, so that they can grow spiritually on their own and not be stuck to any dogma." Okay, so what we will do is, before we delve into that space, I'll just ask you to close your eyes. And what we will do is simply just a self inquiry. So just close your eyes wherever you are, and please sit comfortably. Closing your eyes, sit comfortably, and you don't have to do anything. Just inquire as I direct you. And I don't even direct you, I just ask you. Relax your forehead, relax your jaws. We are not trying to do anything, we're not trying to do meditation. We just inquiring. And as you breathe in and breathe out, take your attention to any thought that might be arising right at this moment. Whatever the thought be, sensation, good, bad, or even the thought about what I'm trying to make you do. Can you please keep yourself on mute? And as you look at that thought, just trace that I that knows that thought. The I which we say, my thought, I, that one which is aware of that thought, that feeling, that emotion, whatever it be, just trace it back to where that I is located. Is it in your mind? Is it in your body somewhere? Take a gentle deep breath as you inquire. So the task simply, or the inquiry simply, is to locate that I, which I say my thoughts, my emotions. Where does this I reside, or what is the identity of this I? Breathing in and breathing out, just a few moments, tracing back. Om. Om. Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Very gently become aware of the surrounding, become aware of your body. When you wish to open your eyes, open with harmony. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Good. So this is the path. This is one, but this is the little glimpse. Of course, it requires a lot more elaboration. The self. But I'll just take your attention to the I. You see, this I that we think of so spontaneously, right? I, me, my. And when you begin to inquire this, and again, please understand the beauty of Gyan Yoga or Advaita Vedanta. Adi Shankaracharya, we have all heard about him. Adi Shankaracharya is Advaita Vedanta. It is not just about a mystical experience, or it's just about a sermon that you somewhere hear or read. It is our own direct experience. What that does is to point to your own direct experience, essence, sense of the self. You see that? And there are different inquiries, of course. I'll just name them a few, like the Panchkosh Vivek from Taittiriya Upanishad, the Panchkosh, Annamaya Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh, Manomaya Kosh, Vigyanmaya Kosh, and Anandamaya Kosh. In fact, I do a complete session on that alone. And others like the waking, dreaming, and deep sleep state of Mandukya Upanishad, Drisha Vivek, the seer and the seen. So these are different processes to delve into it, to relate, to inquire literally. And the beauty of this is it's our own self-inquiry. So for instance, when we just ask you to look at your own thoughts and to trace this I, could any one of you, literally, I just ask this question, could any one of you locate or find where that I is? Where is it located? What is the form? What is the shape? Would anyone like to just share his or her experience? Very confidently, this is what the I was. Or what was the essence that we got when we were inquiring into the I?
Normally, Sandeep ji, the first thing that, yes, Pallavi, go on.
Sorry, please go on. I'll talk after
No,
you.
fair enough, fair enough. Yeah.
So I did, I did try to ask myself and try to trace. I came to a point where I could observe myself listening to you and meditate. Meditating and the breathing. And when I asked myself the question like, what am I? And I called myself. I realized I'm Pallavi. And the memories of my life kind of came, and I said, but those are the memories. That's not really me.
Right.
And Pallavi has been like what everybody refers to me as that. But what am I really? So I mean, I couldn't really go deeper than that. I mean, we got out of the meditation, but it was interesting to, I don't know where it
Yeah, that's the beginning. Yeah, that's very, very, very nice. Yeah, thank you, Pallavi, for sharing that. Yeah, you see, the whole point which I'm trying to make is, yeah, Ashish, you can just complete yours, and then
Sure.
I'll.
I had a very interesting experience on this. Normally, if somebody would ask me, who is I or where is I, I would, my body image would come up. But this time, what came up was aham, the word aham written, and there was a circle. It was there was kind of circular lines around it, and a light there. So that is what came up for me. I don't know what that means, but that's what came up.
But could you really pinpoint this I?
No, no, no. This is just what came up. So
Okay.
the word aham and with some light behind it.
Yeah, but certainly not your body. Certainly not
No, no,
this
not the
name.
body. This time it was not the body. Otherwise, I had a very strong body consciousness, but this time the body didn't come up.
You transcended the body at least.
I don't know.
Okay, okay, good, good. Anyone, would anyone else like to just add to it?
And this is not easy to speak in words.
Yeah, but go ahead if you would want to.
Yeah.
Would you like to? Would you like to? Would you like to speak? Would you like to tell your experience, your inquiry?
This is not in words.
Yeah, words have to dissolve. Words have to literally dissolve. That's literally what is it. Because the I which I am is the subject. It is not the object. Right. So let me just try to give a sense of it. As we just experience ourselves, we were just watching this I which we seem so spontaneous, right? I'm always so connected that I, the ego, which comes up so spontaneously. And the moment you try to look at it, what do you see? You actually see that you don't find it, isn't it?
This is only mind manipulation.
No, no, no. Okay, let me just take you. It's not mind manipulation. When the mind even starts to settle down, you exist. Then even the mind is not working.
Oh, deep sleep, only deep sleeping.
Yes. So when the mind settles down, just doesn't let me complete first. Once you speak, then I'll speak. You want to say something?
That is very deep sleeping.
No, what I'm saying is you complete what you want to say, then I will speak.
Yeah.
Because interjecting will confuse people.
I think what he's saying is it was like deep sleep.
Yes, and in deep sleep you exist, right? As
That
what?
is yes, yes.
That's the whole point. So what I'm just hear this out. Let me just complete. When I even start to inquire or I'm meditating, and these thoughts they start to subside,
Yes.
and they literally dissolve. You know, sometimes literally dissolve. I don't become unconscious, right? I'm completely alive. That whether there are thousands of thoughts or no thought, even when the thoughts they start to subside, I am. Now, what do I exist in that space as? If I were to identify myself, or if I were to express my identity in that space, where the body consciousness has dwindled, the consciousness of the mind, the thoughts they have subsided, I still exist. As what? I don't exist as something. See, I don't exist as the body. I don't exist as a thought. I don't exist as a name, Pallavi, Ashish, or Sandeep. I don't exist as any of my identities, my persona, my accomplishments, my associations, my possessions, my relationships. None of them exist in that space. The memories that you talked about, the memories have also subsided. I exist. What? And does that existence have a shape, a form, a beginning, an end? Nothing, right? So I exist as the existence itself, which Vedanta would say pure existence, infinite existence. Why pure? That existence is not identified, colored by an identity. The existence itself. That's called Sat in Vedanta. And know that existence is not an unconscious existence. I'm fully alive, fully conscious, not, not conscious of something. Just pay attention to this. Not conscious of something, but the very consciousness itself. See? Vedanta would say, call it pure consciousness to differentiate from conscious of. That conscious of is the mind. And even the mind has literally, or it is tending to that dissolution, it's calming down, it is sublimating. So pure existence, Sat, pure consciousness, Chit. And what is that? The nature of that space. Bliss, Anand, isn't it? Sat, Chit, Anand.
Anand.
Right? Now, that is what my reality always is. It's always there. It's always there. That never goes away. It gets masked because of the movements in the mind. Swami Vivekananda used to give a very nice example uh, to uh, to relate to it. On a lake, when there are movements on the surface, ripples on the surface, the bottom can't be seen, right? And as the ripples they subside, they dissolve, they go down. What happens to the bottom?
Calm.
Now, what happens? The bottom is not seen till the ripples are there, right? And as the ripples they subside, they dissolve, die down. One
You
would
can
say
see
the
it.
bottom is
Yeah, you can becomes clear. You can.
no, you can see it. I use a different term. I would say just pay attention to it. The bottom is revealed. That's a subtle but very important difference. Can you get it? Why do I say it's revealed? It's always there. The bottom never moves. The bottom never moves. The bottom is always there. And it's always still. The bottom is always there. It's always still. That deep stillness I always am, which gets masked, veiled by the movement of the mind, the body, the senses. And as these movements they start to subside, the bliss that I am manifests. So let me just put it this way: the calmness or peace is not even the nature of the mind. It's not a property of the mind. That deep stillness is what I always am, much before and much beyond the movements of the mind. Let me just repeat. Vijay ji, आप क्या थोड़ा mute कर लें? Can you just mute yourself? There's a background. Yeah, thank you. So let me just repeat it. The calmness, the peace, which we think is something in the mind, the nature of the mind, is actually what we truly are. Always, it gets masked, it gets veiled by the movements, just as it ripples on the surface of the lake, and it reveals when these ripples subside. So whether there are tsunamis in the ocean or gentle waves on the surface of the ocean, see the bottom, the floor of the ocean remains calm, still, unmoved. That is my real identity. I can say pure awareness, pure consciousness, Satya Chitanand. So this is a revelation. This is what Vedanta is trying to tell us to recognize, to realize. And the more we realize it, the more we recognize it, the more it manifests and shines brighter and brighter. Okay.
Yes.
So, of course, that was just a little small way or process to express. Of course, if it's more
Description है. It is only
yeah,
mind description.
the words have to literally dissolve in the end. The words literally have to dissolve for it to express. So why the words are still finite? We can only point through the
There is a
words.
proverb to clear it. गूंगे का गुड़, गूंगे का गुड़. जब बंदर क्या जाने अदरक का स्वाद वाली बात. गूंगे का गुड़ मतलब जो खा लिया वो बता नहीं सकते. What is the taste of गुड़?
Right, exactly. One who has never eaten something, it's like this. As he's saying is, no, if someone is trying to express the taste of something sweet to someone who hasn't had even sugar, so that you do it. But the fact is, here we all sense it. Right now, when we are doing this meditation, we sense that calmness, for instance. So we get a glimpse of it. That's the whole point. You get a glimpse of it, but then what happens? Your mind starts to move again, and you get drawn into it. And we wrongly attribute that peace to the object. And we go out and seek the object, not knowing. And let me just try to explain this, why I'm saying this. No,
ये स्वामी विवेकानंद के चारों योग में नहीं आता. समता योग. स्वामी विवेकानंद ने जो 4 योग बताए हैं, ज्ञान योग, भक्ति योग, राजयोग, और उन चारों में नहीं आता समता योग.
So let me just go ahead. So yeah, what I was saying was, even think about the. जी थोड़ा म्यूट कर देंगे, आपके थोड़ा बैकग्राउंड नॉइज आ रही, थोड़ा डिस्टर्ब कर रही है. म्यूट कर दिए. हाँ. Now what I was saying is, even you think about any joy or pleasure that you attain, what happens? आप म्यूट नहीं कर रहे, आपके नॉइज आती रहती है. See, what happens is, a joy or a pleasure, I call it the mechanics of happiness. Yeah, you can say that like that. So a joy or a pleasure, just come to think of it. Suppose you're looking for something, and you're seeking for something and you get it. What happens at that point in time? Your seeking stops. You're not seeking anything. So what happens? Just visualize that. At that point in time, you're not seeking anything. So what happens? These vrittis in the mind, they stop for that moment, or they subside. And what happens is, the joy that you are, the peace, the deep peace that you are within, it just shines forth. Right? So the happiness that you feel at that point in time is not the happiness that you think is in the object. Rather, it is the happiness that you always are. Please understand this. It is that happiness that you always are, what happens in that moment is, when this veil of the mind, these vrittis in the mind, these movements in the mind, they subside, that which you always are just shines forth. But what happens is, we think that the joy is in the object, so we start to seek again in the world, and this gets masked again. So it's like we are playing hide and seek. You get the point? So again, let me just complete Gyan Yoga here, which is the joy, the bliss that you seek is the bliss that you are. This is demystifying the happiness that you are seeking. We have heard this statement, right? That the happiness is within. No, it's not even within. We just saw it. We couldn't locate the self. The happiness you seek is the happiness you are. You are, right? And that is what this whole inquiry of Gyan Yoga is about. Please give me a moment.
While Sandeep ji is coming back, I will request you to ponder on what he has shared with us and type in the chat your takeaways from what he has shared so far. Yeah, over to you, Sandeep ji.
Yeah. So sorry for that distraction. So that is again Gyan Yoga in a very small nutshell. I mean, and of course can't do justice to it in so little a time. So see, that is Gyan Yoga. For one of the 4 yogas, Gyan means the knowledge about the self. And what does it say? Let me just try to put it in the corporate terms. What Gyan Yoga would say, the problem statement is, you don't know yourself. You are unhappy for most of the time because you don't know the happiness that you are. So the problem statement is ignorance, avidya. And what is the solution? Knowledge. Knowing the self as it truly is. Now, this is one path of self-inquiry, the self. See, this is the whole beauty of our spiritual heritage. It starts from, and this is called Advait. Advait, not that two, one alone exists. On the other of the spectrum is Dvait, which we mostly are taught as a religion. And what is that? God is different from me. God is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, and I'm a limited being. I'm a limited being, and therefore, if I surrender to God, God is bliss, God is joy. I absolve myself of all my miseries. I get what I want. So God and I are different. This is called Dvait, the path of Bhakti Yoga. And you see, what is there? The problem statement over there is what? Too many desires. We have too many desires. We have too many things to do. We have too many desires. And the solution is, you collect all those desires. It's not that you let go of the desire, you let go of thinking. As in Raj Yoga, the part of meditation, we'll just come to that. It is said you discipline your mind, and when the mind becomes calm and tranquil, the movements in the mind slow down, then you get that bliss, even in Gyan Yoga. But what does Bhakti Yoga say? Totally opposite. It says, no, the mind is not the problem. Problem is not the mind. Problem is too many desires. So don't shut down the mind. Don't shut down the mind. Rather, put your mind in the upasana of God. You will pray to God. You may be doing the rituals. You may be thinking of Krishna, Vishnu, Hari all the time. You meditate on that, on the image of God. So there, the mind is not the problem. The problem is too many desires. Problem statement, too many desires. And just put all your desires into one basket, literally, and surrender it to the lotus feet of the Lord, to one supreme desire. Now, if you really see, in all these parts, we are training the mind. We are literally training the mind. Here also in Bhakti Yoga, also, when you let go of all your desires, what happens? your mind is not left with any movement. You see that? Same thing happens, but in a different manner. And this is the beauty of our spiritual heritage. Different paths depending on what my belief system is. For someone like me, bhakti may not come so easily. So it is the path of Gyan Yoga and Raj Yoga. Now there's another path, Karma Yoga, similar to Bhakti Yoga. And Sri Krishna, he enunciated on in Karma Yoga in a very beautiful manner in Bhagavad Gita. We all know, see, bhakti is fine, bhakti is good. But the problem with most of us is if you are working 8 or 10 hours a day, then you are engaged with the work for most of the time. So where is the time to think of your beloved Krishna or Ram all the time? So Krishna gives a very nice workaround, I would say. What he says is, why not you spiritualize your work? Why not you spiritualize your work? So whatever you do, you offer it to me, right? Now, I would like to differentiate between Karma Yoga and Karmat. There's a big difference between Karma Yoga and Karmat. More often than not, we confuse these. Karmat is someone who is totally engaged in the world, the work to look after one's family, to look after the society, and doing all the ethical and moral things. But again, he has that desire for living an ethical, moral life and do good. All his movements are outside. See, he's still seeking in the world. He's working very hard. He's providing for his family. He's providing for his society. But that mind is still seeking something outside. Now, what Karma Yoga does is, it reverts that. So instead of you continue to do the same thing, but offer it to God, which means you yourself don't have any selfish interest in that. You are offering it, you are reverting it. Adi Shankaracharya talks about this very beautifully in this commentary on Bhagavad Gita. He says there are two paths in spirituality. One is pravitti and the other is nivritti. Pravitti means outside. So you're acting on the outer sphere of this world, which means there are still desires that you have. And you are doing your work in a very ethically and morally correct manner, but still it is seeking desires. And not just in the world. See, we even have desires of going to Vaikuntha after death. So that too is a desire. The other path is of nivritti, that the same thing that you are doing, but internalizing it. You are offering it to God. And a very good example of Karma Yoga was shared by Swami Vivekananda, who is a very celebrated monk of the Ramakrishna order and a very profound and prolific speaker as well. He gave a very nice example. See, he was telling in one of his lectures that he was passing through Lucknow airport in the night at around 10:30. And so one of the security personnel, he was a very spiritual. And Swami Vivekananda, he's got a very pleasing personality, very spiritual, divine look he has. So he was, of course, drawn towards him. So he said, Swamiji, thoda bataiye, thoda humko aap gyan dijiye. So he said, no, it's very late in the night and you're on duty. Said, no, never mind, there's not much traffic is there, so just for 5 minutes. She said, okay. Twara Ishdev kaun hai? Who is your, to which deity do you pray to? He said, Bajrang Bali. And Bajrang Bali, and every morning when I come in for work, I pray to him, to Bajrang Bali, and I offer a flower of sunflower or rose at his lotus feet. He said, okay. Now you can imagine his job is so boring, so mundane. Throughout his shift, all that he's doing is frisking people. Frisking people, and that too, it's a very thankless job. So what Swami Sarvapriyanand said, that each time you frisk a passenger, mentally you offer that flower to Bajrang Bali. It's a brilliant example of कर्म योग, and he was overjoyed. तो बोला कि तो हमारा काम का काम भी हो जाएगा और हमारी पूजा भी हो जाएगी. So doing the same thing, the same act, which one could be doing, with boredom, with pressure, I have to do it again and again, I have to do the same thing. He says you do the same thing externally, but internally that is nivritti. Pravitti is circling outside. You're doing with the act of seeking, or your action is in this world. You turn it around and offer it to the Lord. It's yours. And this is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. He just makes it so beautiful that if you are bhakt, you don't have to really look for that space or the time to be connected with the Lord. You can do it even while working. So that is Karma Yoga. So in Karma Yoga, what is the problem statement? The problem statement is my selfishness, my selfish acts, whatever I'm doing for my own selfish gains. What is the solution? Unselfishness. Offer the same to the Lord. So let me just repeat. In Bhakti Yoga, the problem statement was too many desires, solution, offer it to God. In Karma Yoga, the problem is selfishness, solution is unselfishness, offer the same to the Lord. And we talked about Gyan Yoga earlier. There the problem was avidya, knowledge, not knowing the self or you as you truly are. Solution is knowledge, vidya. Connecting with that, knowing that which you truly are. The fourth one is, of course, we all are very familiar with, Raj Yoga, the path of meditation. So what does Raj Yogi say? He says the problem is the mind itself is the problem. Your mind thinks too much. Your mind is always occupied with thoughts, with emotions, with seeking. You make this mind still, and the problem is gone, literally. Isn't it? And that is why Patanjali defines yoga as what? Yoga chitta vritti nirodh. It doesn't matter what your life is. It doesn't matter what is your life situation is. If I can still the mind by determination, by working, and through what? Asana, pranayam, dhyan. See, I'm literally disciplining. I'm using this body, transcending the body, pranayam, that's transcending the pran, yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha that we talked about. When the thought waves, when these modifications in the mind, they start to subside, then what the sutra says in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, tad drishta swarupe avasthanam. Tad means then, swarup means the form, avasthanam being established, and drishta is that witness consciousness. Witness consciousness, the seer, which is unchanged, which itself never changes. Tatast, Shashwat. So, you see, see the whole beauty that I was saying about our heritage. On one hand, you have bhakti, God, you connect with God, and you get that salvation. You are absolver of all your miseries. Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga, they are similar. The other end of the spectrum is inquiring to your own self. See, that is outward looking. Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga duet, outward looking, outside, seeking God outside. What does Gyan Yoga is for? Gyan Yoga is for people like who don't have that faith. You see, everyone can't have Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga are very good, but the problem is not everyone has that faith. Not everyone can surrender, and we know that. So, someone who has who may not or who may have that faith in God, but not that that connect to surrender so easily, right? So what would that do? You can doubt anything, and surrendering is also difficult. So just know your own self inquiry. That aham brahmasmi hai na, that thou art, or that tvamasi, that, so that is God, thou is you. So connect with the thou, know the thou that you are. And what does Advaita Vedanta says? When you get to that thou which you are, we'll find that this Brahman, this Atman, is the same as Brahman. One alone exists. We won't go into that because of lack of time. So, and then the third part is, of course, the mind. Just still the mind, literally still the mind, and you get to it. So, different parts for people having different propensities, proclivities, but then we can practice all of these. You can practice all of these. You can do bhakti with karma yoga and raj yoga. You can discipline with pranayam and dharana, pranayam and asana, and of course do the self-inquiry as well. Paramans, I just end with this anecdote. Paramans Ramakrishna said it very beautifully. And this is why we call them the ones who synthesize these four yogas. He says, with my hand, I do karma yoga. With my heart, I do bhakti yoga. With my mind, I do
Raj Yoga.
Raj yoga. And with my intellect, I do Jnana yoga. So this is a beautiful synthesis of all these four yogas. Fine. So thank you. We'll just end with one chant. And if you have any questions, just close your eyes for a moment. And again, just mute yourselves, please. And again, as we do it, we can inquire again. We'll chant Om 3 times and the chanting month. Asato ma sad gamaya tamso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. शरीर में शांति, श्वास में प्राण में शांति, मन में शांति. ओम शांति. धीरे से अपनी आंखें खोल ले. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep ji. We will now open the session up for question, answers, or comments. Even if you don't have any question, we'll be happy to hear from you. What were your major takeaways? Any point that you liked? And I'd like to begin by sharing what really clicked for me was what Sandeep ji shared about when we are not seeking, the vrittis stop. And when the vrittis stop, we can become peaceful, and our essence is revealed to us. I think that was very beautifully said by him. We don't see the bottom is revealed to us. So our essence is revealed to us. I think that is something which resonated with me. The other thing which I liked was his using problem statement, and this is a very corporate word, and most of us are corporate professionals. When we hear problem statement and solution, then we are able to put it in a structure. So that was quite nice. And Ramakrishna Paramans synthesizing the body parts, mind, intellect, hands, heart, with different knowledge path was also something which is great. I never thought of it in this way. And it was also interesting to note that he said that as many people, there can be as many paths, so we don't need to be restricted to 5 or 10 or 20 major religions. There can be different ways for different people. And again, using the corporate lingo, we would say different strokes for different folks. That's what my boss used to say. So that is what resonated with me. Thank you very much, Sandeep ji. And we'll be happy to hear from you. You can either unmute yourself and share, or you can type in the chat. We are towards the end of the session, only 3 minutes remain. So would appreciate your comments or questions. While we are waiting for question and comments, I would like to share that our session next week is going to be Dar Se Dream Tak, which is about conquering fear and creating a life that you truly desire. Most of the times we settle for the life we are getting, but this is how to create a life that you desire. That is what I'll be talking about. The timing and other details of the session will be released in the Mindful Living community. In case you are not a member of the community WhatsApp group, I'll request you to click on the link that we have shared in the chat and join us. And that's where all the details about the sessions are shared. I guess your session was... So there is a question from Sanjay. Please explain the difference / transition from Gyan Yoga to Raj Yoga.
So philosophically, of course, there are similarities, and also there's a very crucial difference. I won't go into that because that becomes subtle, sometimes complex, and it requires time. But yeah, so Raj Yoga, as a Raj Yogi would say, the problem is my mind itself. And what is the problem? And this is, again, you can check back with your own mind. This is not something just a mysticism or something which is a sermon. Right at this many moment, how many thoughts are crossing your mind? Some thoughts some thoughts you don't even know. They just keep on banging, literally, isn't it? So what's the problem? Your mind is... The thoughts... Okay, let me just try to define the way Patanjali defines Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirod. Now, when a thought comes to your mind, let's say about the person, about an incident, about a thing that you're planning, a thought comes, you start to brood over it. This will happen, that will happen, that happened, that didn't happen. There are dialogues, there are characters in that movie. A movie starts to play, isn't it? A whole movie starts to play, isn't it? So what happens at that moment? You become that movie, the movie becomes you, right? So what happens? Your mind gets modified with that vritti, that movement. You understand this? Your mind gets modified. You become that. You start living it. And that's why you react. You respond the way you do. So this is a very nice and subtle and a technical term which Patanjali uses. He says, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirod. Yoga is the inhibition, the cessation of the modifications of this mind. Your mind that is getting modified every moment. That is the problem. So mind is the problem. And what is the solution? If through these practices, through pranayam, through asana, through dhyan, meditation, I can still the mind, make the mind still. Make the mind still. What happens? नहीं तो बोलते हैं समस्या को जड़ से ही खत्म कर दिया. Root of the problem is the mind. Manonashi hi mukti, they say. Not that mind will stop working, but the mind will then you will be using the mind. The mind will not be using you. Is that clear? You will not get identified with those vrittis. And as you train your mind, all your subconscious memories, all your proclivities, all those things which are so deep rooted in our psyche, see, you become good at what you practice, isn't it? Now, all as in our own entire lifespan, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, we have practiced distraction. We have practiced being unhappy. We have practiced being in misery. We have practiced being drawn into an emotional turbulence. We have practiced that. And the thing that you practice, you become good at. So no wonder we become good at being unhappy. It's as simple as that. So if you can discipline the mind, all these vrittis, the modifications, when they begin to subside, the lake, then the bliss that you are, it just reveals, shows up. Now, what Jnana Yoga says is, you don't even have to do that. Of course, these are all parts. They are help. They help you to reach there. Because what does Jnana Yoga say? Jnana Yoga says you don't know that you are at the bottom, literally. You don't know what you are. You're not this mind. No, as Adi Shankaracharya says, Manobuddhi ahankara chittani naham na cha shodha jeve na cha grhan netre na cha vyomu bhuvir na tejo na vayu tijananda yupa shivoham shivoham. Whatever you can be aware of, that itself requires one more session to explain. Very simply, one way to look at it is, we were doing a self-inquiry, right? Now, whatever I can be aware of, just start, just close your eyes and look at it. What are things that you are aware of? You're aware of your body. You're aware of your prana, the breath. Get one layer subtler than that. You are even the thoughts, the emotions, everything, the memories. All of these things are in the awareness. Please understand, right? And even when the mind subsides, the silence, literally, that's an amazing revelation. Even that is in the awareness. Whatever I can be aware of, I cannot be. Just negate everything. Just remove all of that. What remains and what is that what you are. That bliss, Satyachit Anand, Aham Brahmasmi. So what does Jnana Yoga say? What does the Shankaracharya say? Your misery is on account of the fact that you don't know who you truly are. Avidya, they call it avidya. And what is the solution? Vidya, knowledge of the self.
What a beautiful question and what a brilliant explanation, Sandeep ji. Thank you so much. We are above the scheduled time, so I'll request everybody to unmute themselves and say goodbye, thank you on your way out. This is our first session of the new year. So wishing you all a very happy new year. Have a blessed weekend and a great year ahead. Look forward to your joining the session next Saturday on Dar Se Dream Tak. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you Sandeep ji for a brilliant session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for a very brilliant session.
Thank you.
Our spiritual heritage is brilliant. It's amazing. You see, oh no, that's the whole problem.
Thank
We don't
you.
know.